This is the WrestleBread Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee, and this is episode 140 of the WrestleBread Podcast. So we have had a very crazy week this past week. We had the Elimination Chamber, we had Vengeance Day, and we also had the craziest news about Cody Rhodes leaving AEW and 9 times out of 10 going to WWE. So let's get into it. First of all, I hope everyone out there is doing good. It's been a crazy month. The weather has been up and down here over in my area. Was very cold. It snowed yesterday, and then it's supposed to go to 70 degrees this week. The perks of having a driver's license is that you could just go out and drive and enjoy the weather, which I plan to do when it hits 70 degrees. But yeah, so my car is in my name now, and so I'm going to, make it look all nice and pretty, I guess, as much as I can. I mean, it's a 2004 car, so it's only but so much I could do to it, but I'm definitely gonna, add some accessories and put some seat covers in there and make it not look as bummy as it looks. But it's I'm officially, I don't know, am I officially an adult now that I have a license in a car? Like I can't use the excuse that I don't have a car to not go places because people know I have a car and a license. And so, yeah, I can't even say that I don't like driving at night, even though I can actually use that excuse for right now. I can say, oh, I just got my license. I don't like driving at night. And then, let's see if that works for me. But yeah, I was, watching Peacemaker. If you haven't been watching that series, definitely check it out. John Cena is amazing in this series. And I didn't really know too much about Peacemaker aside from what I saw in Suicide Squad, but the show is pretty funny. If you like Deadpool, you would definitely probably like the show. It's not as violent as Deadpool is, but if you like the type of comedy that Deadpool brings, you would definitely enjoy the show Peacemaker. It really gives me vibes of Deadpool as far as some of the characters in there. And the intro, if you haven't heard or seen the intro for this show, it is literally unskippable because it's just a good old time. An intro that I don't think I ever seen this type of intro ever before, where it's just like so ridiculous that you just want to keep watching it over and over again. But yeah, definitely check it out. So getting into some news and rumors for this past week, it has been announced that Undertaker will be headlining the Hall of Fame class this year. I really don't like it when WWE does this whole, whenever they announce the news, they'll say breaking news from, like, I think this was from New York Times, and it's like, dude, this is your own news. Like, you sent out a press release to everyone, and now you're giving credit, I guess, to whoever reported it first. Instead of just saying, hey, Undertaker is headlining Hall of Fame. Instead of just saying, hey, per New York Times, look what they broke about our own company. It's just, I don't know, it's a little pet peeve of mine. But anyway, Undertaker will headline the Hall of Fame. And it's just crazy that we are now reaching a end of an era with The Undertaker. Like, I remember watching, when I first tuned into wrestling, it was Macho Man Ultimate Warrior that I saw. And then after that, I saw The Undertaker. And really, The Undertaker is the character that really carried me through wrestling. There was like a portion of time where I really wasn't, like, I was like in and out of wrestling because of like embarrassment and stuff like that, and like trying to be someone I wasn't. But I always kept in touch with what is Undertaker doing, what is he doing this WrestleMania and stuff like that. And there has never been a character like him. Like, he literally kept in character for a very long time. Even when he was badass Undertaker, American badass Undertaker and all that other stuff. And then when he switched back over to the Phenom, like he really like stayed in character. And he really was very he is very loyal to WWE, very loyal to Vince McMahon, of course, too. And it's just like very sad that it's just a reminder that time goes by, like time waits for no one. And it's been 30 years of, his wrestling career, and now it's like coming to a close. And it's like slightly sad because it just reminds you how much older we are, because we can remember the first time that we saw The Undertaker. We can remember, the most memorable Undertaker matches, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. I remember Undertaker versus Mankind matches, the Boiler Room Brawl, the Hell in a Cell match, of course, and the Buried Alive matches as well, and his feud with Stone Cold, his feud with Yokozuna, his feud with Diesel and Bret Hart, and just going down the line. And I'm sure everybody can, like, I'm sure the top, out of your top 5 matches of all time, I'm sure Undertaker is at least in one of them. And so I'm a little bummed because I knew he was going to go in the Hall of Fame this year because it's the WrestleMania is in Texas, and I wasn't really planning on going, but I did wanted to at least try to go to his Hall of Fame. But it's okay. I've seen him live a couple of times. I was there at his last live match at Extreme Rules when he teamed up with Roman Reigns in Philly, and I was there at Mania 30 when he lost the streak. I was also at the In Your House pay-per-view in Philly where I think he went against Goldust. I'm not 100% sure. I forgot exactly who he went against. And there's just plenty of other like Raw, SmackDown, and I think he was at a Money in the Bank too that I had went to. So, it's always cool. And, hopefully like one day I'll be able to like meet him and like get his autograph and stuff like that. And at least thank him like face to face for what he has done. As far as, basically putting his life on the line, his body on the line for my entertainment. And, I grew up during times where wrestling was just like really a big escape for me, and he had a big part of that. And so I know people are out there like, oh, it's just a show and stuff like that. But it's like, yeah, growing up sometimes, especially not really, during hard times, but like growing up and stuff like that, you go through crap, you go through shit. And sometimes there is an escape for you. Unfortunately, for some people, that's drugs and alcohol. For some of us growing up in the late 80s and 90s and early 2000s, it was wrestling, cartoons, video games, sports and stuff like that. That was an escape for us. So for me, it was video games and wrestling. That was my escape. And it's kind of an escape to this day, especially during the pandemic. A lot of people tuned to video games and uh, YouTube and stuff like that to kind of escape what's been going on these past 2 years. And so, yeah, I would love to be able to meet him. Hopefully, not have to pay $500 to get his autograph, but to at least meet him at some type of meet and greet, or hell, well, I know if they do that 2 minute meet and greet video that they had did at WWE a year ago, his will probably cost like $300. I think Alexa Bliss. I remember when they did it, it was like Alexa Bliss and Adam Cole and Big E and stuff, and I think they were like $150. So I can only imagine if they were to do it with Undertaker, how much it would be. I wanted to pay for one of his cameos when he did cameos, but that bitch was sold out. So and yeah, your girl really didn't have the money to pay for a cameo from him. I think his was a lot of money. I think his was the most I've seen on Cameo. And I was like, yeah, that is a car payment somewhere. So yeah. bit crazy. But they also mentioned that the Hall of Fame will be a 2-for-1 event for SmackDown. So I didn't get a lot of details of what it's supposed to be about. So I don't know if they're gonna run SmackDown and they're gonna do the Hall of Fame afterwards. If they do that, that would be such an asshole move, because that means the Hall of Fame will run the same time as AEW, and with them, having the Undertaker as headline, it would definitely crush Rampage's numbers if they run that Hall of Fame the same time as Rampage. I'm like 90% sure that's what they're going to do. They're going to do SmackDown first, and then they're going to do the Hall of Fame afterwards. Which, truthfully, that would help them. That would help them to defeat Rampage, which, quite frankly, isn't really that hard to do. But on top of that, it's going to be a bad thing because the Undertaker's going to come out last, and the way these Hall of Fame shows go, they'll be like at least 2 hours, especially I'm sure like when it comes to the Undertaker, it's going to be, a whole ass speech, especially if they do it up. I mean, 15 people might come up and like give testimonies of the Undertaker like we in church or something like that. So I'm hoping that maybe they start it early instead, like start SmackDown at 7 o'clock, and then, from 9 to 11 or whatever, have it the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's Friday, so, I'll watch it. But even on Friday, like, having 3 hours of wrestling to me can be a lot. Like, I get tired after a while, especially when it's, like, not a lot going on. Like, I get tired and I, like, want to do something else or just go to sleep or something. But yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens with this Hall of Fame show. So let's just hop in to the Elimination Chamber. And the Elimination Chamber is brought to you by the words, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I have said that line a couple of times during this show. I didn't catch the kickoff show at all. And I had thought about recording my reaction to stuff, but I had watched the Elimination Chamber a little later in the day. And then, like, midway through, I did get slightly tired. I'll explain what match I got tired for, and you could probably guess which match I probably was starting to get sleepy on. Overall, the show was fine. A lot of the matches went exactly the way it was gonna go. Some things they didn't make sense. Going off of what happened first, I had a very strong reaction, and then of course news come out about Bobby Lashley and stuff like that. And I'm like, fine, but I feel as though they could have booked something a different way. So let's get into the first match, which was Roman Reigns versus Goldberg. Now, this match I had picked Roman Reigns to win, but I said that, sometimes when they go to Saudi, they tend to book a little crazy, especially with Goldberg saying that this is his last match, allegedly, since this is the last match on his current contract, so who knows if he's going to resign. But he said on the Corey Graves podcast that he will stay in the WWE if he wins the championship, which, he puts it out there, and it kind of puts a little bit of pressure on Vince to book him to win the title just so he can stay around. Because, whenever they need to make money, or if they're going to Saudi Arabia, I don't know if it's the Prince that's requesting Goldberg all these times or whatever. But nevertheless, I was like slightly concerned about Goldberg going against Roman Reigns because, the last time he went to Saudi was against Bobby Lashley. But however, I still remember the Undertaker match where Goldberg damn near ended Taker's career permanently. Like, he went for, I think it was the jackhammer he went up for, and he just couldn't carry Undertaker, and he damn near broke his damn neck, dropping him the way that he did. So I was slightly concerned for the tribal chief on this one. But this was a bit of a short match, as expected, but it was very slow. It really wasn't a good match for them to start off with, because normally when you start off, with a pay-per-view, you want it to start off on a hot note. The crowd was amazing. I mean, they cheered for everyone and anyone during this show. But I wasn't very much impressed with this match between these two. It was a lot of spots where, Roman Reigns kind of like taking his time, or Goldberg's on the outside, taking a deep breath and stuff like that. Um, but of course, we knew that Goldberg was going to get his spear out, which he did. He got his spear out early in the game, and I really didn't expect him to really pick up a lot of offense after that, because I thought that Roman Reigns would really be strong during this match. However, it was a bit of a back and forth between Roman Reigns and Goldberg. But in the end, Roman Reigns had put Goldberg in the guillotine, and that's how he defeated him, which I thought was kind of weird. I guess they still kind of want to book Goldberg strong in case he resigns and does another match. I would have rather for Roman Reigns to do a spear or something like that and then pin him. I think that would have helped Roman Reigns a lot more than just putting Goldberg in a guillotine for like, he was in a guillotine for like at least a minute and then have Goldberg pass out. I don't know. I wasn't really a big fan of that finish. But that match was for about 6 minutes, which was a lot shorter than I thought it would be. I thought it would at least go for a little bit longer. I thought it would be not exactly faster pace, but I at least thought it would. I thought it would be a lot quicker than what we saw. It really wasn't much to it, so it is what it is with that. But I was hoping that this match would be a little better, seeing as though this was a match we were supposed to get 2 years ago, and they kept promoting this whole spear versus spear thing. So after that, we had the women's elimination chamber. Bianca Belair versus Liv Morgan versus Doudrop versus Rhea Ripley versus Nikki A.S.H versus Alexa Bliss. So this was a good match, but I had a slight problem with the entrances. Like, I get that, the people who are going in first were the ones who were going in the pod. So when Liv Morgan came out and I noticed she didn't get into the pod right away, and I'm sitting here like I can count. Like I noticed she was number 4, and I was like, oh no, I think it was actually Nikki A.S.H that came out. But yeah, I was sitting here like, I can count, like there's 3 people who came out, they're all in the pods, and there should be a 4th pod. And I noticed that they were not showing that pod. And then Liv Morgan came out, and I'm like, okay, what? I was like, I know Alexa Bliss is coming into the match, but I'm like, why isn't anyone going to the 4th pod? And then they had Alexa Bliss come out last, even though she was the person that's supposed to go in the pod. Like, normally they have the people go in the pods come out first, and then the first 2 come out last. But for whatever reason, I guess they wanted to give. It wasn't even really like a surprise return of Alexa Bliss, because I had assumed that she was going to come back in the goddess gimmick versus the Fiend sidekick, the Harley Quinn gimmick that she was doing for like the past year or 2 or so. But then that's how she came out. So I was just very confused at why she was in therapy this whole time, and why did we go through all these like segments of her in therapy, and why did the therapist give her the doll back? Pretty much, he like took her soul and put the soul into a doll that was just like the other doll. And so I was very confused as to why she came out with the Harley Quinn gimmick. I'm like, what was the purpose of therapy? Like, that therapist needs to be fired. Obviously, he he must have barely passed college if he couldn't, help out Alexa Bliss. But she came out, not only did she come out with her gimmick and came out last, they put a swing in her pod, and then had the nerve to try to swing, and all you heard was doom, doom, because the stupid ass swing kept hitting the front and the back of the pod, because the pod was like 2 feet. And so she couldn't really swing, but she was sitting. So and I was just so confused, because I was like, what was the point of her going to therapy if she was going to come out the same fucking person? So I was confused about that. I was confused about the swing. So I'm like, okay, that's why y'all didn't show the pod, because the swing was in there. But I was confused as to why she came out last if she wasn't, if she was going to be in the pod. Like it was just very confused. I was confused off of that. So I was confused off of that from like the get-go. So, and I was like stuck on it in the beginning of the match. Overall though, this match was good. Nikki and Liv Morgan were the first two, like I said, to be in the match. And it was pretty good. Some people had an issue that the cage of the Elimination Chamber really wasn't used a lot. I really didn't have that much issue with it. I mean, they used like the outside of the cage and stuff like that, but I really didn't expect the Elimination Chamber to really be as brutal as we've seen it before, just because of where they were. And I felt as though they kind of wanted to keep this women's match, I don't know, like mellow, if that makes sense. Like I really didn't expect like blood or someone to like, jam a head into the chains or something like that. Not like what we saw in the men's Elimination Chamber, but I felt as though this was going to be mellow. Um but yeah, this was a good match. Um we had those two in it, and I have to say the people who are coming out next was kind of like obvious. Like when they were doing, once it got the countdown and they was like lighting up the pods of who's going to come out next, like I pretty much called each person that was going to come out afterwards. So, I knew that Doudrop was coming out, and then Rhea Ripley, and then obviously Alexa Bliss, because Bianca Belair was the last one to come out. And it was the same way with the men's Elimination Chamber match. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that it was just like that obvious who was coming out. But afterwards, Doudrop came out. Doudrop did a lot more as far as the outside of the ring. That steel, I guess, I don't know if there's actual steel, but anyway, the outside of the ring, around the or outside the ring, surrounding the ring, I should say. She did a lot more with it. And then of course, Rhea Ripley comes out. Of course, her versus Nikki A.S.H. They're still continuing with that feud between them two, which I kind of thought was over, seeing as though Rhea Ripley had defeated Nikki A.S.H. But I guess they're going to continue it, just until they figure out something else. But yeah, Rhea Ripley went on the offense, and then of course she eliminated Nikki A.S.H. So then Bliss comes out afterwards, and then let's see, I think Liv Morgan had eliminated Doudrop next, like a couple of minutes afterwards, and then once Alexa Bliss came out, Alexa Bliss had came out, and then Bianca Belair had came out. Once Bianca Belair came out, oh my gosh, that's when the match really picked up. Her and Rhea Ripley, like I am ready for those two to face each other again, but them two like trying to one up each other with the strength of the suplexes. Oh man, that was that was my favorite spot of the women. It was a great exchange too with Rhea and Bianca Belair before Rhea Ripley had gotten eliminated. I was hoping that Alexa Bliss would have been eliminated fourth, but instead it was Rhea Ripley. And I was sitting there like, oh man, Bianca, you should have eliminated Alexa Bliss instead of Rhea Ripley, because those two going against each other, that made the match really. Then of course Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair slapping each other before they started to brawl. But then it came down to Bianca Belair and Alexa Bliss, and I was slightly concerned about it, because I was like, I hope they don't pull the trigger with Alexa Bliss, Because I was like, they did a lot for her, even though it really wasn't like any big change from her before she went into therapy to now. Um, but I thought this was a pretty good match. This was a good exchange between these two. It was like a good 2-3 minutes between these two. But then Alexa Bliss came out with Alexa Bliss got the KOD, and Bianca Belair came out with the win, and I was pretty happy about it. Was it like obvious that she was going to win? Slightly, yeah, but like I said, when it comes to Saudi, sometimes they just decide to like switch things up on the fly, and so I was like concerned that they was going to have Alexa Bliss win just because. But I was happy. This was my favorite match on the card. Yeah, it was my favorite match on the card because it was a lot of good back and forth between the women. Um, and then after that was Ronda Rousey and Naomi versus Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville. Now I didn't watch SmackDown, so I had no idea that Ronda Rousey was supposed to wrestle with her hand tied behind her back. And then of course Sonya Deville um, showed that she was faking the injury, which was pretty obvious. All right, so this was the match that I kind of started falling asleep on. Not because it was a bad match, but like I knew what was going to happen with this match. Um, the Ronda wearing the judo gi, and having the arm tied behind her back. I really didn't expect her. Like once I found out she had the arm tied behind her back, I figured she would have been the one that would take a lot of the offense. And Naomi would be the one with the hot tag. But then they had switched it up, and then it was Ronda that was kind of getting the hot tag. Now, first of all, I love Naomi's outfit with her entrance. I would say this was my favorite outfit that she wore with the glow gimmick. I don't know the way, because she was wearing beads in her hair. The beads were glowing. Her whole outfit was glowing, stuff like that. I have to say, Charlotte looked kind of weird with her bodysuit. And a lot of the women, my goodness, they opted for these like latex type of bodysuits. I have a joke in me to say, but I'm not going to say it. I'll let you guys use your imagination for the jokes with the bodysuits. But yeah, I was like, oh my goodness. Like I'm sitting here like thinking of Rihanna's Umbrella music video and stuff, like Missy Elliott's I Can't Stand the Rain comes to mind. Like, oh my gosh. Like I get the reason why. I guess they're happy that they're not wearing the big t-shirts, the oversized t-shirts and stuff. But I know that, in Saudi the women are supposed to be covered, but there's also a rule that was kind of I think it's not like enforced heavily, that they can't wear tight clothes. Cause some of those bodysuits, I was like, whoa. Like Rhea Ripley's, whoa, ma'am, because she had a choker on and everything, and I was like, yo, you're like tipping the line with what they like over there, what they're okay with, I should say, over there. I didn't mind what she was wearing, of course, but I was like, because you don't know what's gonna happen over there. But yeah, some of the outfits was like, whoa, ma'am, whoa. Um, cause let me see, cause well, yeah, the Elimination Chamber was the first women's match. So when I saw Bianca come out, I was like, I didn't expect the bodysuit because I thought they was gonna wear like the t-shirts and then have like a bodysuit underneath or tights or something. So when I saw Bianca's outfit, I was like, wow, like I liked it, but I was like, wow, man, that's kind of tight. And then I saw the other women's coming out, and Liv Morgan was dressed like Britney Spears, and I was like, whoa, like, I mean, I'm not mad at y'all, but whoa. But yeah, um, getting back to this match. Then we had Ronda Rousey wearing the judo gi, and like I get it, but I didn't get it. And then Michael Cole sitting there telling us how she won the black belt 6 times or something like that, and I'm like, I don't think that's how it goes. I don't think you win 6 black belts, but you know, we didn't have Pat McAfee there, so I think that was the thing. Um, but truthfully, I found this match slightly boring because like you kind of knew what was going to happen. Ronda with the one arm behind her back, she's getting beat up and all this other stuff. Um, it was going to be like the back and forth of is uh Charlotte going to get in the ring to go against Ronda Rousey, and I felt as though I don't know. I felt it. I didn't really expect them to fight. Truthfully, like I figured that Charlotte would be the one to kind of run away, because this is supposed to be a WrestleMania match, and I don't want them to kind of like spoil the WrestleMania match by giving us this match right now, because this is something that WWE loves to do. They love to do the tag teams with people who are supposed to have a pay-per-view match because they don't know how to book it any other way. And so I'm looking at this match like I feel like you guys are going to give us too much, and then by the time Mania rolls around, there's nothing really special about the match because we already seen it. Like Charlotte had full offense in this, and then you see Ronda fighting back with the one hand tied behind her back, and then she got Sonya Deville in the armbar, and she was calling Charlotte to get in the ring to stop her. Charlotte said, "I'm not getting in that damn ring to stop you. I'm going to stand here on this apron and look good." And so then that's how Ronda won. I would have loved I get it. I get that you got to book Ronda strong for this match, but I would have liked for Naomi to have gotten the win here. For Ronda to do her move and then Naomi does her move and get the pin. Because I don't think this is going to be a WrestleMania match between these two. I mean, it could be because WWE has a lot that they got to fill up, but I really don't see them doing Sonya Deville versus Naomi in a match because we already got it. Like this is probably like the 3rd time we got this match. This match between these women lasted for like 9 minutes, which truthfully I felt as though was slightly a little too long, truthfully, because it was just a lot of filler sequences between these two, if that makes sense. And yeah, I kind of dozed off, but I did pause it, took a nap, and then I came back and rewatched it. So I'm not saying this with sleepy eyes or anything. It's just that I don't know, the match really didn't get me like more excited for this feud between Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. Like there's no type of like stakes between these two, if that makes sense. I know this is the match they were going to go for, and I know the match of Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch is the match that people want, because that kind of seems a little bit more exciting as far as like promo versus promo type of situation. But the thing with Ronda Rousey is that because they're giving her promos to say, and while she can be a good actor in movies, I guess when she is doing it live in front of the audience, it's just not, it doesn't work. She comes off like a robot when she has to do these promos. It like literally sounds like she's like slightly reading off the paper. Now, I saw her live. Um, I was there when she just completely decided, when she like switched and turned heel, quote unquote, the last time she was in WWE. And I remember she took out Becky Lynch. She like took I think that's when Becky was on a crutch, and she took the crutch and started beating Becky's leg with it mercifully. And then she like took the mic and she cut a fucking promo on everyone. And first of all, this is in Philly. So we were booing Ronda Rousey, and then she cut that promo, and you could tell like she was not reciting. She's not reciting at all. She was just saying it how it is. And I applaud her. And I'm like, you know what? I appreciate you being real right now. Like, I can tell, you're not reciting. Like, you are saying it how it is. Like, her on her vlog, when she was sitting there saying that, WWE was fake and all the other stuff. Like, that was a lot better than these promos that she is cutting when she's like, last time I was here, nobody really liked me. And now I won the Royal Rumble. And now I can go against Rebecca. And I'm saying Rebecca because that's her real name. Like, that's how she was sounding. But when she was just going off and stuff like that, and I think she cursed too. Now, not like hard cursing. I think she said ass or something like that. I was all for it. Like, I wish they just let her say what it is that she wants to say. Like, some people in WWE, like, they really don't need people to write for them. Like, I feel as though they should just be told, like, these are the points that we want you to hit, but go out there and cut your promo. Like, people like Kevin Owens really don't need someone to write a script. I would say the New Day as well don't really need someone to write a script. And I really feel like Ronda really shouldn't need a script either. I think if they just tell her the points for her to hit and she just goes there and just really cuts a promo, like, I think that would be good. Like, and they're also trying to put her across as a face. And it's like people see now I kind of no, people didn't really like her promo. I think she was slightly booed when she cut the promo. And so they're trying to like force her to be a face because she's going against Charlotte Flair. And it's just one of those situations where people don't really like, just like last time. People are not really caring for her going against Charlotte Flair. And so that's why Becky Lynch got involved in it, because people didn't want her going against Charlotte Flair. And like I said, because we took the match away that Vince wants, Vince is going to get what he wants. So he is going to get his Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey match. And then allegedly we have to wait a whole other year for her versus Becky Lynch. But by the time that happens, I highly doubt people are going to be interested in it. So after that, we had Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. First of all, this is the first time I've heard Madcap Moss's theme. I don't know if that's really a good thing or if it's a bad thing, because that really shows how much, like, I really watch Madcap Moss. I didn't know the beginning of his theme goes, joke, joke, joke. And I'm sitting here like, yo, are you serious? This is how they start off his theme? This match was, and I hate the theme. First of all, I hate the theme. They say joke, 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 and then it's like this funky like 70s theme, and it really doesn't match him. It's like very like it's like very out there. I wasn't a fan of this match at all. First of all, how the fuck did Drew McIntyre get that sword out of the country? And I'm sure he's going to get it back in the country, because we're going to see that sword on SmackDown. And I'm not understanding, like, to fly out of the country. Flying out of the country, they check your bags. You have to take your shoes off and stuff like that. Your bag randomly gets checked. They go through your shit and everything like that. I don't know how customs is in Saudi. Like, did they let the sword go? Type of situation. But however, I really should not expect to see that sword come back with him into the US, okay? Because I went through customs. They go through your stuff. You have to go through a line, and they go through your stuff. And when I had went to the DR and I was coming back, first of all, if you ever been to Dominican Republic, probably any Caribbean, country outside the US, they have really good food. And first off, the orange juice in that country is the best tasting orange juice I ever had. And yes, I'm talking like better than Florida, okay? That was the best orange juice I had. It was like I forgot the brand. I forgot the brand, but it was an orange container. I had went to the supermarket in I had went to the supermarket down there because I wanted some orange juice to go with my breakfast that I was going to order. And I tasted that orange juice and it was so good, obviously because it was like so fresh. It was so good. And I tried to sneak that shit back into the country. No lie. I had what was it was it a was it a quart? It was a big boy and I was so fucking upset that I had to throw it away. Cause you can't have more than 3 ounces and stuff. And I was like going through because I was coming from the DR and I went into I think Miami first and then I flew back home. Oh my gosh, I had to like they went through the bag and stuff like that. And of course, like she saw the orange juice and I was like pleading. She was like, you gotta throw it out. I was like, and I'm here go my ass. Can I drink it right here? No, you can't drink. No, you can't open it at all. Like you have to throw it out right now. And then she mentioned like I could put my bag back into the plane or something like that or something like that. And I was like, I'm not doing that so they can lose my bag and then I lose my orange juice. Oh man, I was pleading with the TSA agent to drink the fucking orange juice. Like you would have thought the orange juice had drugs in it as much I was trying to reason for me to drink it. It was really good orange juice. But yeah, okay, if I went through all that with orange juice and I couldn't bring orange juice back at all. Like I could have like I did we buy alcohol down there? No, I don't think we brought alcohol. But you could buy alcohol and it can come back into the US fine. It's like duty free, I think the term is. But I tried to sneak some orange juice back into the country and I couldn't do it. So that sword, I forgot the name. I think it's called Angela or whatever. We should not be seeing that bitch on Friday because it should be TSA that has that sword. If he gets it back, I will be so upset because I couldn't bring fucking orange juice back into America. Okay? If I couldn't bring orange juice back into the country, he should not be able to bring that sword. So, I don't know how he got it out. I'm fine. I'm sure he was able to get out of the country, but he should not be able to bring it back into the country. Um, Getting back to this match, thank you for coming to my TED Talk about orange juice. Um, as far as with this match, obviously, false count anywhere. We knew that Happy Corbin was going to get involved in it, and that Drew was going to overcome it somehow. First of all, that spot with the Alabama Slam and Madcap Moss landed on his head, yo, that was scary as all hell. You see the ref immediately go to check on him. He's saying okay. I'm sitting here like he done shrunk 2 feet from landing on his head the way he did. I am completely shocked that he was okay and he was able to go through the match after that. Because I'm like, first of all, that could be a career ending injury. And I don't know what he was trying to do. Like, I don't know if he was trying to like flip or something like that instead of just like landing straight flat on his face, quote unquote. But it looked like he was trying to flip or something. Um, I mean, it was said that he over rotated, but I think he was trying to like flip or something. I don't know. But yeah, he landed like straight on his head. And then the fuckers at WWE kept replaying it like 20 times. It's just like, dude, that he could have like seriously, like we saw it. Like we really didn't need to see it 20 times. You could have easily just said, is he okay? Like, I hope he's okay. Replay it once so people know what the hell you're talking about. But they replayed that John like 3 more times. I'm like, yo, like, it's really unnecessary. You can replay other parts of that damn match. And then, of course, I was very confused. And I said this before of why, like, I get Drew having the sword because, I think it was his grandpops or something like that, a family, treasure or something like that. But I was like, how do you bring the sword to the ring for a no holds bar no DQ match, and you don't use it. Now, I'm not saying that Drew needs to cut a bitch, but if you're going to bring a sword to the fight, like, Al Snow brought a mannequin head to the ring and he used it. So, Mankind brought Mick Foley had a sock in his pants and he used it. Um, Santino Morello had a fucking snake and he used it. Jake the Snake had a snake and he used it. So, not saying that Drew needs to cut a bitch, but I don't know. Like, that's why I don't get the sword. Like, why are you bringing it to the ring? There's going to be an expectation to use it. Well, we saw him use it here as he tried to decapitate Happy Corbin by swinging that shit. And you see Corbin like clearly duck, rolls out of the ring and goes, "What the fuck?" But yeah, he went to swing that sword. And then this is the part that like kind of concerned me. He had the sword in his hand and he did the claymore with the sword in his hand. Now I'm going to assume it's a real sword that is very sharp and can cut you pretty bad if it makes contact. So for him to do the claymore with the sword in his hand, he could have like landed awkwardly, like the hand could have hit the ring like in a crazy angle and the sword like pops out, something like that. But Drew McIntyre won, which is what everybody named Mama knew was going to happen. Um, and I kind of figured for this to be a falls count anywhere type of match that they really didn't do a lot. Like they barely went to the stage. Last time there was a falls count anywhere match, at least they was like on the stage and they did a lot more stuff there. This match mainly took place in the ring and around the ring. Like I knew they weren't going to go in the crowd, but I at least expected for them to at least like go backstage or something. So I don't know. I don't think they should do these falls count anywhere type of stuff. I would say just do no DQ type of situation. Because if you're going to say falls count anywhere, I'm going to assume that you're going to pin someone in a crate like outside the ring instead of inside the ring. So, maybe they should just do away with that stipulation when they go over there. Who knows? So going into the women's match, Lita, who was well received as deserved, going against Becky Lynch for the championship. Now, this was a very good match. There wasn't like this match didn't have like any like filler sequences, if that makes sense. Like, how during a match they have to like slow down and stuff like that, and either like the face or the heel like play up to the crowd type of situation. There wasn't really much of that in this match. It was a lot of back and forth. Lita showing us that she can still fucking go. Which, if she can go, where is Melina? I'm welcoming Trish Stratus to come back, which I thought she was going to come back with her training and everything like that. Like, there's really no reason why other female legends can't come back and wrestle. Now, I'm not talking like the Bellas or anything like that, or even Kelly Kelly, because we've seen that already. But I'm not understanding like the other wrestlers, female wrestlers can't come back and have like, just opportunities that they didn't have when they were wrestling. A women's Royal Rumble, the women's Elimination Chamber, stuff like that. Women's Tag Team Championship. Wait, is the women's Tag Team Championship still going? I literally had to look it up. Yes, it is still going. It's Carmella and Zelina Vega who are the current women's tag team champions. Wow. But yeah, like there's no reason why the other female legends can't come back and, just have another good run. Like I said, this was a good match. I wish they had played this up a little more about, Becky Lynch and going against her rival Lita. Like they did a little something at that contract signing, but I wish that they really drove the story home a little more. Like you can't. They played it that this is Lita coming back to try to get a women's championship as like her last run. But really during the match, like they really played up to the fact that this was her like childhood hero, and she even had a moment with Lita afterwards. You can clearly tell. She like looked down at Lita after the win and said something to her. So I just really wish they had played up that storyline. I think that would have been a more effective storyline because that's not something you really get in the women's division of having a woman going against her her childhood hero. Like I know you're trying to play up the big time Becks and stuff like that, but I felt as though that would have really had connected more. This match would have really connected more with the audience at home. Like the Saudi crowd, they cheered the hell out of this match and they cheered the hell out of Lita. But I really wished, as far as like leading up this build, that they really would have played into the childhood hero more than than what they had did. Like you could have had Becky like cut a couple more promos about it or something like that. Like they did it a lot more with MJF and CM Punk, because you see CM Punk like show the photo and stuff like that, and CM Punk made a lot of references to the fact that MJF was a fan. Not saying that Lita had to do the same thing, but I really wish that they like kind of like let us know like yeah, it's Becky going against a childhood hero and stuff like that, and kind of give kind of have the crowd connect a little more to this. Um, my big thing with this, and this is my first "Are you fucking kidding me" with this moment, was Lita did the fucking twist of fate and she did a moonsault, and Becky Lynch kicked out of it, which I don't really agree with that. Not saying that Lita should have won with it, but I would have hoped that Lita would have took a little bit of time getting to the top rope and then Becky would have put the knees up or something. Because then she kicked out of it, and then it took only one manhandle slam for Becky to win. Like, I didn't really like that booking. It kind of made Lita felt, I guess, weak, if I should say it correctly. Because the fact that Lita she pretty much did technically two finishers. Because, her moonsault and the twist of fate. She did two finishers on Becky, and Becky kicked out. But all it took was one manhandle slam for Lita to lose. Like, I wish that Becky may have did two manhandle slams or something like that to kind of like, I guess they was trying to do the whole, Becky gave it her all and stuff like that, because the way she did the manhandle slam and the pin, like she like really couldn't like really move like that. When she did the manhandle slam, she just left her arm there. But I wish they just did a little bit more with that finish. Have Becky put up the knees or something. And then, have both women down and stuff like that, kind of draw in the crowd a lot more of who, that spot where of who's going to get to their feet, stuff like that, and let the crowd play into it for the people watching at home. But for them to, decide to have Becky take the twist of fate and the moonsault, kick out, and then immediately turn around, have enough energy after those two finishers to do a manhandle slam. It's just like kind of deflated the match a bit for me. This is what, like I said, it was still a good match for these two women, but I just didn't really like the way that finish kind of played out. So after that, we had the Usos versus the Viking Raiders for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Now, the Viking Raiders coming out with their raid John, stuff like that. The Usos come and attack them. I'm like, okay, we're gonna get this, kind of wear down the Viking Raiders so that the Usos kind of get an early advantage. And then I see that they slammed they had suplex Ivar into Eric or something like that. First of all, I legit forgot about this match. I thought the women's Raw Championship match would have been the match before the Elimination Chamber, so I was kind of like ready for the Elimination Chamber until the Viking Raiders came out, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot about this match. But yeah, so then Ivar got suplex on Eric, and then next thing I know, everybody's rolling around in pain, and then they was like, oh, I don't know how they can compete in this match. I'm like, yo, you guys had these two tag teams fly all the way out here to not even have a match? And I had to check. I don't think either one of these guys were like injured or anything. And I'm like, y'all didn't even have a match. Like, I can see if this was back in the US, because you take a 2, 3, 4 hour flight, do this and then be on your way. But they flew halfway across the fucking world, got paid big money. First of all, if I was any of the other competitors on this Elimination Chamber, especially Austin Theory. If I was Austin Theory, I would be so fucking pissed off that the Viking Raiders got paid the Saudi money and they didn't even have a match. I'll get into what happened to Austin Theory later on, but I was Austin Theory, I'd be like, I went through all of that shit just for you guys to not have a match and get paid the Saudi money. Like, come on. I would at least appreciate it if the bell rang and then we would at least gotten something. But they ain't even getting to the ring. So I'm like, what was the point of like doing all this? What was the point of promoting all of this if we weren't going to have anything? Like, are you guys saving this for WrestleMania? Like, is that where we're going? I highly doubt that. I highly doubt we're going to get this for WrestleMania. I think this was just, it was there. Like, it felt like it was a timing issue, which if it was, definitely should be ashamed of themselves. WWE should be ashamed of themselves if it was a timing issue that they was running out of time. But yeah, I was like very slightly upset that that's how it ended. And I'm sitting here like, I think Ivar was slammed into Eric before. Like, I could be wrong. It could have happened in NXT, but I could have sworn like one getting slammed to the other wouldn't like cause their like their guts to explode or something like that. To where they can't get up and wrestle. But it is what it is. So whatever. So let's get to that was my are you fucking kidding me with this second moment. Um the third one was this men's elimination chamber match. So I'm going to go through my thoughts before the news of Bobby Lashley broke and my thoughts after the news of Bobby Lashley broke. News before Bobby Lashley broke. So first of all, we got the men coming out to the ring and stuff like that. I see Austin Theory come out, and then I see fucking Riddle. I see Seth Rollins come out. I'm like, don't tell me they're doing this again. That they want Brock Lesnar to be the absolute last person and have Austin Theory and Seth Rollins stand there looking stupid while Brock Lesnar gets into the ring, pose, and then gets into his pod. And that's exactly what they did. And I was like, I don't know why we can't fill the pods first and then have the first two come out and so the match start. Because now I get it. I get it. But it really makes no sense. It really doesn't. And that really should show of how WWE feels as far as the star quality of these wrestlers, that they wanted to put have Brock Lesnar and Alexa Bliss come out completely last, despite the fact they're not even starting the Elimination Chambers, because they're last to go on the pod, and they're the ones who's going to get the bigger pop or the return or whatever, that they have these people come out completely last just for that. That makes zero sense. Like I said, you have Austin Theory and Seth Rollins just standing there looking stupid. I don't get why they didn't attack Brock Lesnar from the get-go. Like, it was before the bell. Brock Lesnar is just strolling on into the ring to go into his pod. Austin Theory and Seth Rollins could have attacked Brock Lesnar right then and there. But, it's WWE. So anyway, match starts between Austin Theory and Seth Rollins. Pretty good sequence between these two. But let's get into the part. First of all, Seth Rollins and Austin Theory, they scrapping it up and stuff. And then Seth Rollins did the buckle bomb on Austin Theory, and he power bombed him into Lashley's pod. Lashley goes down. I say immediately, okay. So then you see Lashley's down. Then as soon as I saw the medical staff come in, I was like, no fucking way. I was like, I'm sitting here like, they better not do the whole medical thing. So I was like, okay, if they do the medical thing and have Bobby Lashley gets taken out, he'll come back into the ring, with that whole spot and stuff like that. Like, oh, I'm injured, but I'm still going to do it type of situation. I'm like, fine. You want to have Brock Lesnar have his moment to shine, let him have his moment to shine. Then Bobby Lashley comes back out and shits go down. Whatever. And with this Elimination Chamber, it was like so easy to call out who was next. I knew Riddle was going to come out third. I knew AJ Styles after that, and then they was going to show Bobby Lashley and then Brock Lesnar, which technically didn't wait for the countdown. But anyway, so then Riddle comes out and everything. And then when Riddle came out, then you see the medical staff coming to take Bobby Lashley out of the match. I'm sitting here like, are you kidding me? Because I'm sitting here like, first of all, that plexiglass didn't hit Bobby Lashley that hard to where as though he had to go down. I've seen people get hit while they're in the pod and the plexiglass hit them, and no medical staff came out. Plus, we saw a few hours ago Madcap Moss land on his fucking head and continue the match. You mean to tell me that little bit of plexiglass hitting Bobby Lashley took his big ass out? I was like, no fucking way. Are you kidding me? I said, are you kidding me with this shit? And then, of course, as AJ Styles come out, and then that's when they announce that Lashley has to go through a concussion protocol. And I'm saying, is this the fucking NFL? Like, there was no helmet to helmet contact. Like, it's dudes in the NFL that gets fucking hit harder, for real, than what Bobby Lashley did, and they make it out okay. But no, Bobby Lashley hit his head on plexiglass and he got a concussion. So by this time, I was like, okay, they're actually going to do this. They're going to do this stupid title for title shit that I didn't want from the get-go. So yeah, so then they show Bobby Lashley's pod. So that's when they re-announced again that he is out of the match because of concussion protocol. I'm like, you guys didn't even really give him a chance to defend his fucking title. So obviously you already made it established that it's going to be a new champion. And you guys made it painfully obvious that it's going to be Brock Lesnar who wins it. Despite the fact that Seth Rollins has been wanting a fucking main event at WrestleMania for the longest of time. Whatever. So then, of course, like I said, they showed Bobby Lashley's pod that was empty. No one has gotten eliminated thus far. And then you see Brock Lesnar punch out the plexiglass, which popped the crowd, made people go ooh and ah. But I'm like, it's plexiglass. Like, you hit that bad boy hard enough in the right spot. Come to find out, it apparently there was a small hole that was already there, and that's how Brock Lesnar was able to kick it out so easily. But anyway, Brock Lesnar kicks it out, comes in, and just starts doing Brock Lesnar stuff. Like, like he started taking out everyone. He immediately took out Seth Rollins and pinned him and took him out immediately. Which I'm like, yo, I at least expected Seth Rollins to be like toe to toe with Brock Lesnar last. I'm like, we still call him the Beast Slayer. Like, I remember that WrestleMania, he defeated Brock Lesnar, and he sat there and said so many times how Brock Lesnar has yet to defeat him, but yet Brock Lesnar defeats him in how many seconds in the Elimination Chamber after Seth Rollins came out number 2? Whatever, you know? Let's leave that little footnote in the footnotes section. And then, about 15 seconds later, Riddle gets taken out. And then there was a little bit of back and forth, and then AJ Styles gets taken out. And now we're down to Brock Lesnar and Austin Theory. And this part, I'm sitting here like, are you fucking kidding me with this? Like, Austin Theory was left last. Like, I know that Vince McMahon is all up on that ass, but I'm like, seriously? like, I know we're trying to build new stars here, but for the title though, for the title, like, really, what has Austin Theory done to get this title shot like this? To to outlast AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, and Riddle. And yeah, I'm throwing Riddle in the mix. I'm not the biggest Riddle fan, but I feel like Riddle is closer to the WWE Championship title shot than Austin Theory. But we see the reason why Austin Theory was left last, because Austin Theory was the one that was going to get all the spots. So of course Austin Theory realizes that he is in the Elimination Chamber with Brock Lesnar, and I'm sitting here like, yo, this is going to turn into an episode of Oz or something like that. Like, Austin Theory is he has no chance in hell, as Vince McMahon's entrance theme says. So he runs around the ring, praying for his life, praying to all the gods in the world for mercy. Brock Lesnar, who is freakishly fast as all hell, is chasing him all around. Austin Theory tries to lock himself into a pod. Brock Lesnar bum rushes that shit. I think he broke the plexiglass on top of that. However, Austin Theory did not get concussed and had to be taken out of the match, but that is a whole different story. And then we just see Brock Lesnar have his way. And then Austin Theory, there was the spot of Austin Theory climbing to the top of the pod. Everyone was like, where are you going? I didn't realize the chains are a lot wider. The hole at the top of the cage is a lot wider than that. So you see Austin Theory start to slide through that bitch. And then, of course, Brock Lesnar being the craziest athletic person I've ever seen, climbed that cage in seconds and grabbed Austin Theory. And they ended up on top of the pod. And I said, no fucking way are we about to do this spot. Like, I saw the F5 coming, and I said, no way we're doing this. You're trying to kill him. And nevertheless, there it was. The F5 off the top of the pod onto. I'm happy that they didn't do the ring, because that would have been scary. But instead they did the F5 onto the steel below. I was a little worried because the way that Austin Theory had landed. But then when they replayed it, I saw that he grabbed the cage to kind of slow the momentum, and he kind of landed more on his feet, which that kind of was worried me as well. And then Brock Lesnar gets into the ring, pins Austin Theory 1, 2, 3. And now we have a new champion of Brock Lesnar. So I'm very confused as to why we went through all this between Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. For Brock Lesnar to win the title off of Big E at day one, to lose it at Royal Rumble that very month against Bobby Lashley, only for Bobby Lashley to lose it 30 days later to Brock Lesnar. So what was the point of Brock Lesnar losing the title in the first place? So that we can have him, be a 10-time champion instead of 9. And I really would have loved what was the legit booking of this. Like, if Bobby Lashley wasn't quote unquote concussed, if he would have kept the title and stuff like that. And so people are like, there are people who feel as though like this should be done, this whole title for title. First of all, Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns do not need title for title for this to be a main event at WrestleMania. They already have one title. They faced each other about how many times? I know this is Brock Lesnar versus the Tribal Chief, but still, nonetheless, this is like the 20th time these two have fucking faced each other. We don't need 2 titles on the line. And people was like, well, they need to sell out AT&T Stadium. They need to bring 100,000 people there. First of all, I checked the tickets this morning. There's still a lot of tickets available for both nights. And I understand that you're trying to sell out the stadium first. And I can see if WrestleMania was for one night, then yeah, make it go all in and do this whole title for title, winner takes all type of situation. because the WWE announces this is a winner takes all. They didn't say if they were unifying the titles or not, which I really hope they don't. But they don't need 2 titles for this. They really don't. Night 2 probably would be booked very well. Because as of right now, we have Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, champion versus champion, winner takes all. Really don't need 2 titles for this. You also have Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. The Miz had cut a promo about he's going to need someone to help him take on against the Mysterios. People are saying it's going to be Logan Paul, which that's not going to bring people into the fucking stadium. Like, people are legit booing Logan Paul, not because he's such a great heel like the Miz, but people do not want Logan Paul. We're getting Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn, possibly for the IC championship. First of all, the way that I know that Shinsuke Nakamura hasn't really been defending the IC title, but it's just this. It's the way the IC title has been booked, and the way that the US Championship has been booked. It's just like horrible. So we're more likely going to get Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. Stone Cold Steve Austin, they're trying to get back into the ring to go against Kevin Owens. Maybe Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. If they're bringing in Cody Rhodes, who is he going to go against? We're going to have the Andre the Giant Battle Royale, of course, as well. And it's just like, you need, first of all, they have a short enough roster as it is, but they don't need the 2 big titles to be on one night. Because there really is not going to there's really not much else in the men's division that's really going to be that exciting for people to want to tune in for 4 hours on a Saturday and 4 hours on a Sunday. I felt as though they should definitely they could have had Seth Rollins win that WWE Championship. You could have put him against whoever. Like, if Stone Cold doesn't work out, you could have built the storyline between Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. You could have had AJ Styles win this title as well, and I know the rumor is supposed to be him versus Edge. That would have been exciting to have. AJ Styles as champion once again, and him going against Edge for the championship at WrestleMania. That definitely would have been a WrestleMania match. I don't get why the men, once Brock Lesnar came in, all decided to gang up on him, like have AJ Styles take out, his calf or something like that. And, really team up against Brock Lesnar. But, we have to book Brock Lesnar, big or whatever. But I just don't understand. I don't understand why we needed to have all this happen for Brock Lesnar to go against Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar already won the Royal Rumble. They could have easily had set this up. Well, it was alleged that it was supposed to be Riddle who would win the Royal Rumble, and I guess go against Bobby Lashley for a champion, something like that. Like, they could have easily had done Riddle versus Seth Rollins, or even Riddle versus AJ Styles, maybe. But I felt as though you could have booked this a lot better than what you did. Like, it's just infuriating because, like I always say, WWE always goes in for like the top 5 people in the company, and then everyone else is mid-carders because of that. Like, AJ Styles is a mid-carder, which he really shouldn't be. Seth Rollins, while yes, he was going for the title, going against Roman Reigns, but look what happened here. He was the first one to be eliminated by Brock Lesnar. And it's just like all that talk about how Roman's never beaten Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar never beat Seth Rollins, like that went down the toilet because you wanted to book Brock Lesnar so strong, And Seth Rollins, it felt like Seth Rollins really didn't put that much of a fight in this match against Brock Lesnar. And I felt as though, truthfully, Brock Lesnar really didn't need to be in this match. You could have easily just had him go against Roman Reigns for the title. Like, you could have done something else here. Like I said, you could have had the reason why I didn't want the titles to be with Brock and Roman. Even if you don't unify the titles, you're still holding up the titles. So Roman Reigns wins. He has 2 titles. Roman Reigns has been booked so strongly. They sat there and boasted about how he had the titles for 500 days, and only like 4 people has had it longer than him, which was Bob Backlund, Bruno Sammartino, Hulk Hogan, and I forgot who the 4th person was. And I was like, really? Because I'm sitting here like, I swore there was other people who had a title reign as long as him. Like, I could have sworn it was Brock Lesnar. I don't think it was John Cena. Maybe The Undertaker, but I could have sworn there was people who held the title for a very long time. I think CM Punk had it for like 400 something days as well. But it's like, if the tribal chief was to win at WrestleMania and he has both titles, he has such a strong title reign. It's like, who's going to go against him to win at least one of the titles? Like, I guess you can have Seth Rollins win a title, but then it's like, what happens after that? And then if worse, Brock Lesnar was to win the titles, who the fuck is going to beat Brock Lesnar? He beat the person who was allegedly undefeated against him this whole time. And so either way, whoever wins is going to hold up both of the titles instead of just giving someone else a chance to be up top as well. You could have easily had AJ Styles carrying, like, Raw now will not have any of the belts. Like, even though Brock Lesnar is a free agent, his feud was mainly with Roman Reigns. So he was mainly for SmackDown. He was mainly for Fox. So it's like, now Raw/USA Network doesn't have any championships. And it's like, how long is that going to last? What, until SummerSlam? You know, is the USA Network going to be that excited to not only lose a title, but they do not have Brock Lesnar, they do not have Ronda Rousey, so, and they don't have Seth Rollins either. So it's just like, what is there left for Raw? I know they got Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair and stuff, but it's like there's nothing else. So it's a little frustrating, because I appreciated them having 2 titles, because while they concentrate so heavily on the storyline of one, on, you know, with the Universal Championship, the WWE Championship was the title to give other people chances. You know, like they did with the World Heavyweight Championship that they got from WCW. That was used to give people a lot of chances. But however, like with this, with the WWE Championship, we had Kofi Kingston, we had Big E, we had Bobby Lashley, we had the Hurt Business type, you know, storyline, stuff like that. We had a lot of different champions. Drew McIntyre, who was given, you know, a shot at, you know, being in the title picture. But unfortunately now, with the titles either being unified or being held both by Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, it really isn't giving anyone else a chance. Everyone else is now going to be a mid-carder because, you know, only a few people can be in the title picture of the Universal Championship. So it's going to be a shame. Once WrestleMania season ends, you know, the Raw after Mania is going to be crazy. But after that, it's going to be a very, I wouldn't say a boring time, but the air is going to be like left out of the tires, so to speak. It's just going to be like, it's not, the Raw and SmackDown are not going to be as enjoyable on the men's side because one person is going to have both belts. They don't really do anything with the tag team championships. They damn sure don't do anything with the IC title or the US championship because they keep putting all their eggs into fucking Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. It's really a shame. So that was my thinking before the news of Bobby Lashley. So once the news had came out, Bobby Lashley was actually injured during his match against Brock Lesnar. Now I do remember when Bobby Lashley was taking some of those suplexes, like he was turning pretty weird, and I thought he was injured, or he may have was like trying to prevent himself from getting injured, but somewhere along the line that match he was injured. So then it goes, well, why book it like this? Why give people like, why have people give this energy into Bobby Lashley, who's going to be out for 4 months, which sucks so badly because he's going to miss WrestleMania. Bobby Lashley has been holding it down for at least the past 2 years, especially with the Hurt Business, stuff like that. Like, I really wish the Hurt Business was to come back. That was like a very strong faction. it sucks for him that he's going to miss out on WrestleMania. I guess they booked him for Saudi so he can get the paycheck or something like that. I don't know, but maybe I felt as though it was a different way they could have done this besides the spot of the plexiglass hitting him and then the concussion protocol, whatever. Like maybe if because the news would have broke a little quicker. Like maybe if you didn't want him to be entered to the match, like you could have replaced him with somebody else, to enter into the match. Who? Can't think off the top of my head. Like you could have no, Kevin Owens wasn't there. I don't know if Randy was there either. Like you could have replaced him with somebody. And then on top of that, you didn't have Mansoor. I forgot how I pronounce it. You could easily have put him in the Elimination Chamber match. Like, yeah, it would have been like a little bit ridiculous, but we all knew he would have been booked just for Saudi. Because that's what they kind of do. Like every single show they have over there, he's normally booked on there. But for some reason, he wasn't booked at all. Even though he gets forgotten about on Raw and SmackDown until it was the whole matchup with Mustafa Ali. So I don't know if he was taken off the card, that guilty by association type of deal with Mustafa Ali, but I was hoping he would appear here. I thought he would have been in a pre-show or something like that. But I guess, because he's not booked consistently on Raw and SmackDown and he was only booked when it came to Saudi before he had the feud with Ali, that, they like forgot about him, which is pretty crazy. But I don't know. I felt as though like you could have had Bobby Lashley get attacked backstage or something like that. Like you didn't have to show it. You could have easily had like I don't know, a ladder, a dump truck, whatever, get put on Bobby Lashley and then he gets taken out of the Elimination Chamber and then he gets replaced by somebody. That would have been I think that would have been a lot better than what we had gotten. Like we would have bitched and moaned about it, but once you had gotten the news out about his shoulder, like it would have been a lot more understandable type of situation. Like they knew he was injured for weeks, and you still had him in the ring and stuff like that. Like I said, I think he was booked for Elimination Chamber solely so he can get the paycheck since he was missing out at WrestleMania. I would like to think that they were that nice about it instead of keeping him around to make sure people will watch, get more so they can get more views for the Elimination Chamber. Like I would like to think that they were, very good people and wanted Bobby Lashley to get the big paycheck since he's gonna miss out on the bigger paycheck of well no, this Saudi's actually the bigger paycheck. They would have missed out on the other big paycheck of WrestleMania. But if that wasn't the case, if he was used just to get people to tune in because they know that there are fans out there for Bobby Lashley, then it would have been a waste of time. But I really hope that Bobby Lashley have a very speedy recovery. I love the way that he was booked since he came back. This was the Bobby Lashley that I was hoping we would have had when he first came when he came back to WWE. Like I couldn't wait for the feud between him and Brock Lesnar. I was happy that we got it. It was entertaining match. I was happy that Bobby Lashley had won. But with Brock Lesnar getting the title back again, like I'm curious if Bobby Lashley was not injured. Well, obviously with Brock Lesnar being in the Elimination Chamber, like 9 times out of 10, he would have been the one to win anyway. But I'm just curious why, as though we had Bobby Lashley hold the title for like less than 30 days, just for him to give the title back up again to Brock Lesnar. But overall, this show was fine. It wasn't as good as the last show over there was. Mainly because once we got towards the end of the pay-per-view, a lot those like final 3, possibly the 4th match, really just kind of like went down from there. The women's Elimination Chamber match was the match of the night for me. A lot of good sequences. There were people who, like I said, who felt as though that the chamber wasn't used as much in the women's match, which I figure it was because of where they at. You know, they kind of went, like I said, keep the match mellow or whatever. Um, but yeah, I wasn't the biggest a fan of some of those matches that happened at that pay-per-view. I really wasn't. So, getting into the other biggest news when it comes to AEW, I'm not going to really go into deep into a recap of Dynamite and Rampage. Quite frankly, the viewership of Dynamite have went down significantly. I think it's because, you know, the matches that was on this week wasn't as exciting as, you know, the tease debut of Keith Lee, even though he, you know, he wasn't exactly teased, but the tease of someone being signed to the company. Of course, everyone tends to tune in for that a lot more. There were some people who were saying that the ratings were down because of Cody Rhodes, which is like, don't really make that much sense. I know there are fans of Cody Rhodes out there, but there were weeks where he wasn't on TV and they were hitting like well over 1 million viewers. So I don't believe that part at all. I think it's the fact that the matches that was booked this week wasn't as exciting. Like Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. While yeah, you know, that's a cool match on paper, but it's not enough to draw people in and want to tune in for it solely for that match. The Bryan Danielson match versus Lee Moriarty. First of all, if you're more likely tuning in just for the fact it's Bryan Danielson, but like the matches that they had scheduled really wasn't like wow exciting. Like Thunder Rosa versus Mercedes Martinez. While like I, I like they had Mercedes Martinez before, and so yeah, like I said, it's just one of those down weeks that people kind of didn't want to feel like tuning in. Plus, on top of that, you have the Olympics going on, and so you know, I think was the Olympics the night of the figure skating? I think it was. I think I think Wednesday was the first night of the figure skating competition, and I think Thursday was night 2. So I think that kind of went into it. But like I said, uh, Dynamite this past week wasn't as exciting. I have to say, sorry. But going into this news with Cody Rhodes, now if you haven't checked out my thoughts on my initial thoughts on Cody Rhodes leaving AEW, definitely check out the video on YouTube where I talk about my initial thoughts about it. It wasn't really a lot of really wasn't a lot of details coming out, but now that there's a lot more details, so I'm not going to go into my initial thoughts about it. That's on the YouTube channel. I talked about it, so definitely check it out there. I'm just going to go off of the additional news. So first of all, apparently Cody Rhodes has signed a contract with WWE. He went to the headquarters allegedly. People were saying that he may show up at Elimination Chamber. He didn't. The Miz had cut a promo about how he is going to find a partner who is global, who is handsome like him, and this, that, and the third. People think it's Logan Paul. Some people think it's Cody Rhodes. First of all, if Cody Rhodes, first, I don't think people understand. If Cody Rhodes is actually the Miz's partner, understand that means he's debuting as a heel, which is the exact opposite of what he wanted to be in AEW. But it has come out. Kenny Omega has spoken about it. He was on, I think he was on Wrestling Observer Radio, and he talked about Cody Rhodes' departure. And he said, quote, "Everyone was shocked. We all know when our deals are up, especially EVPs, we know when our deals are up. In the case of the Bucks, when their options kicked in, for myself, I don't have a deal like that. I'm up next year, just straight up done. I would have to re-sign a new contract. There is no option. We knew Cody's, much like the Bucks, it was that time. We would hear that there was possibly some difficulty with the negotiation, whatever, but you never think it's going in that direction where the talent is going to opt for leaving, especially when this thing first started. The most passionate person of our revolution, the most passionate person of creating the us versus them mentality was Cody. It was strange for him to just choose and walk away." Then he went on to also say, Cody, he really believed in the original vision he brought to the table for AEW, and the original vision that the team brought to the table when AEW was first becoming a promotion. We didn't know where this would go. We had been optimistic about it and thought he would be where we are today, where we would be considered a major promotion and we would have our fan base and have a lot of satisfied customers. I guess we never really sat down and talked to each other like, okay, we have this opportunity to now change wrestling. How do you see it? How do we make this work? Maybe in the end, we had the Bucks in their vision, my vision, and Cody's vision. All of our visions are different. I could say mine was more similar to what the Bucks had in vision, and Cody's was much different. You're going to get that when finally you've committed your life to an industry and a business, and finally someone goes, "You've done this job all your life. You've been raised in this business with these shackles on you to a degree by someone or something. Now those are off. What are you going to do?" So then he like kind of goes to say that the issue was more of booking, that Cody Rhodes wanted to have more control of that the split wasn't about money, but it was about conflicting visions. And so I did some digging. I did a little bit of journalist digging, and I had watched a little bit of Roads to the Top. If you haven't seen it, the first episode is out there. And there was just some hints of what Cody and Brandy kind of envisioned themselves. Like the whole thing with Brandy, first of all, she wanted to be world champion, which really shouldn't be a first priority like that if you are the chief branding officer and you're in control of the women's division. Like I realized when she had the women's division, she was booked heavily in the women's division. Like they would have the one match on Dynamite and she would be part of that match. It was like the Nightmare Sisters, I think it was. And like I understand, kudos to her to, have the baby and then she wants to get back in the ring and stuff like that. But like I said, you're in the business, when you're in like the business having to deal with the public, it's not exactly that the customer is always right. But that not really the customer is first. But basically like the customer matters. Maybe I should say it that way. And so I feel like I said and I slightly said this, that maybe if Cody's vision, like I have a very difficult time that Cody walked away from all this when he was like the person that was all about, the revolution and us versus WWE and how, especially like his promo when he talking about how he envisioned AEW was going to take over the world and stuff like that, and he wanted to build this revolution for wrestlers, pretty much like him, who didn't really have a shot in places like WWE. And so I don't know if his vision was mainly that he wanted more of the originals to have the time to shine, because a lot of the people who are not really, it's not exactly like, it's very weird. Like we had Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara as the main event, and we had Bryan Danielson going against Lee Moriarty. Like the guys who are coming into WWE, I used to make a comparison how I don't want AEW to come WCW 2.0. And I feel as though it's not exactly there because the legends who are coming in to AEW are actually mentors. Like we see Sting, who is side by side with Darby Allin. Like Sting isn't coming out asking for a title shot. I remembered when Sting came out to cut a promo. I forgot if Sting came out on Cody or Cody came out on Sting, but Cody sat there and challenged Sting to a match in the ring, and Sting pretty much turned it down. Like Sting wanted to just like be by the side of Darby Allin. And so a lot of the people who are switching over to WWE, like not people like I mean, not exactly John Moxley or Bryan Danielson anymore. Like we see Bryan Danielson is starting to take this mentorship storyline, and you see he's bringing in John Moxley and stuff like that. But it's like the people who are coming into AEW from WWE, they're not like, how in WCW, Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash, they have very big contracts and then they had creative control. as well. So when it came to them losing to certain people, like they refused to lose it all. And it kind of led to a booking hell for Eric Bischoff. Like, I feel like that's not how it is here. My issue with Tony Khan is that he listens to the fans. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing because if something happens, like he's not going to sweep it under the rug. There are, like, all right, I know you're going to think of Big Swole. I'm saying outside of Big Swole. I'm saying when it comes to like booking decisions. Like he listens to the fans' reception of who they mainly cheer for. So like the situation with people are complaining about how the big guys are being treated. And I noticed the Face of the Revolution ladder match, all three competitors are big guys. So obviously he listened to some complaining. Now it could be a bad thing because he is listening to people complaining. And sometimes, especially with the IWC, they will bitch and moan no matter what. They will bitch and moan that it's a sunny day. They will bitch and moan that it's 70 degrees outside. So listening to the fans works, but sometimes it doesn't work. And so if it's due to vision, I think it has to do with Cody and the way he is being booked. Because as we all know, he has said plenty of times that he does not want to turn heel, that he wants to be the underdog babyface, which he was, but now times have changed. You can't really be the underdog babyface if you are going against Pac or something like that, first of all. And then on top of that, people are realizing, like, yo, you are doing a fucking lot. Like, you said that you, like, he jumped to the conclusion and said he was not going to challenge for the AEW championship because of the way a lot of people complained that he was turning into Triple H, basically, like he was the EVP and stuff like that. And another thing too, that I noticed that really doesn't happen with Kenny Omega and the Bucks. Kenny Omega and the Bucks, when they're on TV, they don't really boast the fact that they are EVP. Like, they'll say it maybe on Being the Elite, like backstage stuff. But when they're out there in the ring, they are the wrestler. Like, they don't really mix the two. And I feel like Cody kind of mixes the two. And so, like I said, there was like a lot of conflicting reports out there. There's a report saying that Cody Rhodes wanted to be the top paid guy, which, no, like, you're not the biggest draw. People are chanting, shut the fuck up to you. People are chanting, shut the fuck up to your wife. And she's cutting a promo against Dan Lambert. And Dan Lambert is cutting a promo about how much AEW sucks. So normally, with a situation like that, you would cheer for whoever is going against them. And unfortunately for Brandy Rhodes, she's getting cursed out to get out the ring, which is not a good look, even if you're trying to be a babyface. My issue is that, and I'm just very confused. I figured that you would go to WWE for more money, because if it's about booking and stuff like that, like, when you go to, I don't know, New Japan or something like that, or try to revitalize Ring of Honor, since that's supposed to be coming back in April possibly, and, you know, have your booking, be able to have more booking creativity there, or, you know, like I said, I would love to know what is the real story. I cannot wait for Cody Rhodes to like really talk about this so we can really get the truth for really what it is. Because I feel like the only reason to go to WWE is really for the money, because you don't have any booking control. You don't even have a say what your name is or what your gimmick is or who you go against. Like, for him to sit there and say he doesn't want to be a heel at all in AEW, he can go to WWE and they can straight up tell him, you're going to be a heel. Like, we're teaming you up with The Miz, or you're going against Roman Reigns, or you're going to go against AJ Styles, or you're going to go against Austin Theory, or we're going to have you running around with Dana Brooke and the 24/7 championship. Like, he really doesn't have a say. So for him to like up and leave over booking decisions, especially if it's booking vision, especially if it's a vision as far as with him. It's just like, why did you do all this? Like, why did you go rah 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 for AEW just for you to leave and go to WWE? Like, I know it's none of our business about that stuff, but he like made such a big parade about WWE. Like, who remembers his entrance with the fucking throne? With the golden shovel, the golden sledgehammer, him making him talking shit about WWE in the ring. He talks shit about WWE on episodes of BTE. He just talks shit about WWE a lot. And so it's like you created this atmosphere with the AEW fans of this whole anti WWE thing for so long, just for you to like turn around and go to them. And like I said, this could be a bad thing on Tony Khan if the booking vision has to do with either, booking as far as minorities, or booking of the women's division, or just kind of like booking in general of trying to put over more of the originally signed AEW staff versus people who are coming into WWE, or if it's maybe how much people are being signed for, because there's another rumor out there that Tony Khan is running out of money. That's why that he couldn't quote unquote afford Cody Rhodes, which don't make sense because he's still signing people. Apparently something's supposed to happen, but we all know Jeff Hardy's going to eventually come. We all know that oh my gosh, who's the Buddy Matthews was just signed. Killer Cross is still out there. Bray Wyatt is still out there. A lot of women are still out there that are waiting for their 90 days to be up so they can sign. They can easily sign Mia Yim. I mean, her husband is there. So as far as like him running out of money, that don't make any sense. I know that maybe because we don't know their finances. Like, it's people saying they run out of money, but it's like, first of all, we don't know the actual amount of how much everyone is getting paid. We don't know how much they're bringing in as far as ticket sales and merchandising and the TV deal and stuff like that, because they just got the TV deal with TBS. We don't know how much they're bringing in as far as ads and stuff like that. Like, none of us are accountants for AEW, so we really can't speak on if they're running out of money or not. And plus, they're supposed to be getting a new TV deal. Their TV deal runs out in 2024. So they have next year to, entice TBS and TNT to renew their contracts. So, if their contracts get renewed, then obviously they're not running out of money. But that'll be a big tell as far as, if AEW is sticking around or not, if that TV deal gets renewed, which I have a good feeling that would get renewed. Like, first of all, it's kind of slightly going a tangent. I don't know why people are like dogging for the failure of AEW. Like, having these many options of wrestling is a very good thing for wrestling fans. And like I said, it's a very good thing for wrestlers as well. You know what? If this was back in the 2000s after ECW and WCW was taken over by WWE, you know what would have happened to someone like not Big E, sorry, Keith Lee? Keith Lee would have probably been, I don't know, like a firefighter or something, a personal trainer at the gym or something. Like, he would never been heard from again unless there's like a meet and greet signing at a local bingo hall for one of these smaller indie companies. Or he would have ended up in TNA where, Dixie Carter would have done some dumb shit with him as well. Like, he wouldn't have gotten the response that he got with AEW and felt like so fucking good about it. Can you imagine? This guy almost died. Okay, he was almost dead. He didn't think he was going to live. And for him to get healthy and come back and get a reception the way he did when he came into AEW, like that must have felt so good for him, especially after getting married to the love of his life, honeymoon, boom, debuts in AEW, and he gets cheered the way he did. Even Ruby Soho getting cheered the way that she did at the All Out pay-per-view. Like that must have felt so good for her. So like I'm all for all wrestling companies, whether I watch them or not. I really hope they do well. And I try to catch Impact whenever I can. I know they had a pay-per-view recently. I didn't check it out. I check out AAA whenever they have the Triple Manias. Um, I don't catch New Japan as much as I should. I wish that I would have like really sat down and watched Wrestle Kingdom that happened last month. But I'm for all wrestling promotions. I hope Ring of Honor comes back. I really do. And even fucking EC3's wacky ass wrestling promotion that came out of nowhere. I guess they said that they have a TV deal. I don't know where this money is coming from because it takes a lot of money to run a wrestling promotion because you have to pay the wrestlers, you have to pay ring crew, you got to pay for equipment and cameras and ring and, entice people to show up. So I don't know where all this fucking money is coming from for ECW's wrestling promotion, but I guess, all right. I wish them luck, I guess. I guess. I mean, there's a lot of jokes floating around there of what type of show this may turn out to be. But, might not be my cup of tea, but, hey, whatever. But yeah, but getting back to Cody Rhodes, like, I'm just very confused about the whole situation. If Cody Rhodes was just a wrestler in AEW, like, you wouldn't really hear me complain. But, and if Cody Rhodes was just the EVP, you really wouldn't hear me complain that much. But the fact that he was just so gun-ho with this anti-WWE stuff, and anti, like, even if you're not saying if you're just gonna say he's not exactly anti WWE, he was anti Triple H, that's for certain. He was just so gun ho because he felt as though he was a bigger wrestler than what he was treated in WWE, and for him to just go back to it, um, and there's two ways he could be booked, and I cannot wait to see which way he's going to be booked. He could be booked as a big star, as the first person to jump from AEW, first major person to jump from AEW to WWE, and to be treated right, to entice other people, especially the originals, to say, you know what, it's not that bad, and jump ship. Or and this is what I think it mainly goes, Vince McMahon shows that he is still petty and he still likes to hold a grudge, and remembers the fact that he is it's AEW, it's Cody Rhodes who has said a lot of things about his company, and he can take all the frustration he has on Tony Khan and AEW out on little Cody, who will lose his last name. Maybe the Stardust gimmick comes back in a furies of ways, or he gets booked as a heel, or he runs around against the 24/7 championship. Now, he may be booked strong for WrestleMania because we need to get 200,000 people to put their butts into seats on April 2nd and 3rd. But what's going to happen once WrestleMania is over and you don't need 200,000 people to sit their butts into seats? That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for that timeline before SummerSlam, and especially the dead of fall, where there's really nothing much to do between September, October, November, December, because we already booked SummerSlam and we're just waiting for the Royal Rumble to come along to start the WrestleMania season. So I'm very interested to see how he's booked. I am so interested to see how he's booked. And waiting to see what he's going to say about all of this. Like, what exactly made him leave? And if it's money, like that that won't make any sense. Because another thing too, and I think some people have missed this. Cody Rhodes, like I have read with Kenny Omega's quote, Cody Rhodes had an option. Like Tony Khan can pretty much have picked up the option on his contract. And to kind of give an example of what that means is very similar to an NFL, a franchise tag, where you don't want to negotiate a new contract. So you pretty much tell the guy, well, we're going to keep you a year on the same contract for right now, and we'll talk your contract another year. Like there was an option on Cody Rhodes' contract that Tony Khan could have easily just said, you know what, just shut the fuck up and get paid. And he could have picked up the option, but he saw that Cody Rhodes was unhappy and decided to let him walk. Which, slight respect. I mean that, like I said, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Like, you know, respect to him to see that he has talent that is unhappy and gave them the option to walk to the competitor, but a bad thing that you let your talent walk to the competitor, especially someone with a high title as EVP. Like, if like they I know that they're playing PR and saying, "Oh, you know, we love each other. You know, we ended on good terms," stuff like that. But if Cody Rhodes is upset or anything like that, especially cuz if he walked away from AEW like this, like there may be like some animosity on his end, he could easily tell Vince McMahon everything that's going on over there. Like he could tell Vince McMahon if he is really that type of motherfucker and has that much of a grudge. Like for him to have that much of a grudge on WWE, like I can imagine he told Tony Khan some shit. Like he not that he knows like the corporate side of WWE to know what's going on, but I'm sure you could tell Tony Khan like the issues with booking and stuff like that, like all the downside of WWE. So I can't imagine if Cody Rhodes is that upset about whether he's not getting paid what he's worth or the booking situation or vision or whatever. Um, I can't imagine Vince McMahon pays him enough and books him so beautifully and this like that, and you know, goes shoulder and shoulder and rub elbows with Cody and is like, you know, Cody, I really loved you. You know, I really wish that you didn't leave, and I'm sorry that I booked you as Stardust and stuff like that. And you know, I think you're such a great, you have potential here. I see you as, you know, vice president here and head of, you know, creative decisioning. Just to pick your head a little bit, you know, how, what were you doing in AEW? What are they doing? What is Tony Khan doing? And you know, maybe Cody Rhodes spills the beans a little bit, you know, say, oh, Tony's a bitch and the booking and this, that, and the third and stuff like that. And you know, get really comfortable with Vince McMahon. And you know, they're eating lunch, stuff like that. Cody, you know, don't sneeze in front of Vince, please don't. But you know, they're having a good time, and Cody feels good and welcome, and he's getting paid, and he's eating well, and he is booked as the biggest babyface and stuff like that. And Vince McMahon gets all this information about Tony Khan and the way AEW runs, and how the frustrations of Cody Rhodes and stuff. And, you know, everything is all good, and Vince gets all that information, and then he goes, "Ha ha! Bitch, damn it," and tosses out the Stardust outfit onto Cody. I can really see that happening. I feel like that is a lot of backstage segments that we can see Vince McMahon doing. Instead of him, you know, talking shit to Austin Theory, I can definitely see them booking backstage segments of him and Cody eating well and Cody talking shit about AEW. I wonder if Cody would do that. Technically, he won't have a choice because he'll be under contract with WWE, and whatever the WWE writers give to him, he must do. Probably not must do, seeing as though Mustafa Ali pretty much said, I'm not fucking doing the Royal Rumble, and I will see you guys in 2.5 years when my contract expires, but who knows. I cannot wait for Monday or Friday or the Monday after that, whenever Cody Rhodes show up. I am so ready to see what is going to happen with Cody Rhodes, and especially how he's going to be booked in WWE, because we will not know at all. But very interesting 2022. I mean, so many things that is not on my wrestling bingo card that has happened in 2022, and we are only in the month of February. All this crazy shit has happened in 2022, and we're still in the month of February. We still got 10 months to go in this bitch. And we already had Cody Rhodes leaving. We had Madcap Moss losing 2 feet off of his height because he got slammed on his head. Bobby Lashley with the shoulder injury. CM Punk and Jon Moxley teaming up. Big E losing his title. Brock Lesnar winning the Royal Rumble the way that he did. And then on top of that, Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley coming together to form a fucking stable. Jay White coming into AEW, and Adam Cole having like 6 factions in the same company. 2022 is starting off on a pretty wild note if you think of it. But that's it for the WrestleBread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Let me give some shout outs. Shout out to Julian Rob Bass from Wrestling Court Podcast and AlternateMinds.com. Keita and Jay from the Keita and Jay Show. Chris from We Talk Next Podcast, which is featured on the Keita and Jay Show. Nando and Larry from Half K Podcast. Devin Hafiz from Clark Street Wrestling Podcast. Check out one of their most recent episodes. I was on there giving predictions for Elimination Chamber. Also, we were talking about the possible return of Stone Cold Steve Austin, and we talked about Cody Rhodes there as well. Also, shout out to my guys over at Circle of Debate. Be sure to check them out as well. And from Straight Talk Wrestling Podcast as well. Coming up next week is just going to be another recap of wrestling. Hopefully, we will get some more news about Cody Rhodes, or possibly a debut from Cody Rhodes as well at WWE. Also, Tony Khan has teased a major announcement coming this week on Dynamite. Who is he going to sign? Also, there was a tease from Malachi Black of a new member of the House of Black. Is it Buddy Matthews? Is it Bray Wyatt? Is it neither one of them? Is it Julia Hart? Is it just Black Air? Is it a ghost? Somebody call the Ghostbusters. But we will see all that is coming this coming week. Also, we are getting closer to Revolution. Adam Cole versus Hangman Page is happening. Is everybody fucking happy about it? Adam Cole now gets a title shot, and you guys are willing to sacrifice Hangman Page for that. All this and more on the next episode of the podcast. Be sure to hop on Twitter. You can follow me at JDC137. That's JAYDEE, the letter C, 137. You can also find the podcast at WrestleBread as well. Click the links in the profile for the Instagram, the Facebook, the YouTube, TikTok I am working on, but just follow me everywhere. Be sure to leave a review. Let me know your thoughts on everything, how you feel about Cody Rhodes, how you feel about the Elimination Chamber. Were you also saying, are you fucking kidding me, during this show as well? But let me know how you feel. And until next time, guys, peace.